Hey, I'm Randy and you're watching The Cheap Audio Man. Here at The Cheap Audio Man, we talk about high-value hi-fi home theater and headphone equipment. And today, we're talking about the Topping E30 Mark II. Is this a big improvement over the E30 first one? I don't know. Sit down, grab a cup of coffee, and let's talk about the Topping E30 Mark II. Big thank you to today's sponsor, Bespoke Post. More about them later. It's actually an entertaining one. You maybe should check it out. The Topping E30 Mark II. You probably couldn't tell it if I had the Mark I here because this looks pretty much identical. The E30 was a very popular DAC until it was discontinued when the AKM chip shortage thing happened. However, the E30 came in around $100 when it was first released. E30 Mark II now comes in at $150. I get it. We have inflation and things like that. But these DACs that used to be $100 are now $150. In theory, that doesn't sound like a lot, but that's a 50% price increase. I'm still scratching my head on how costs have gone up that much from a percentage standpoint. Does it matter? Not really, because the other DACs in this price range are also coming in at a similar price and a similar increase above what they previously were. The easiest product to compare the E30 Mark II would be the SMSL D6. I just did that review recently. I'll put it right here. Wasn't really impressed with that product. So I was excited to get the E30 Mark II in to see if there's any difference between this and the D6. Big shout out to today's sponsor, Bespoke Post. What do? They send you stuff each month, just like the Columbia House CD Club. Remember that? First time I got sent to collections, but it wouldn't be the last time. Bespoke Post sends you curated products from stuff that you're actually interested in because you can take a quiz. And then they can figure out what you like. So they'll send you things monthly from under-the-radar brands, most of which are small businesses, many of which are based right here in the US. Every month you get new gear, whether it's outdoor gear, barware, food. They send you oysters if you want to. Every box has around $70 worth of products inside, but costs you only a fraction of that value. But unlike the Columbia Cassette or CD Club, you don't have to wait for it to be delivered to see if you don't like it. You can preview the box before it's ever shipped to you. You can swap it for a different box if you don't like it, or you can skip the whole month altogether. Bespoke Post was kind enough to let me choose a few boxes of my own. This is the Stealth box. This is the Bare Edge assisted opening knife. It's also got a thumb lock, which is my favorite type of lock. Bear & Son cutlery. Also comes with the pen ultimate. It's got a ruler on here. Also has a level. It's also a pen. This thing unscrews. There's a little Phillips head screwdriver. It's from Jack Zugary Designs. Also comes with the key capsule. That's from Craig Hill. Apparently you can just put stuff in here. Small things. Pencil erasers, chewing gum, small lizard. Don't keep it in there for very long though. Another product here from Craig Hill is the Stealth money clip for your money, in case you carry a bunch of cash. As soon as I saw this one, I had to get it. It's the chop box. Check this out. You can make short work of your carrots, onions. Alaskan ulu knife. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Very useful tool. I'm gonna use it today. And then look at this baby. Chinese vegetable cleaver. 7-inch blade. This thing is huge. Make short work of a watermelon, honeydew, or maybe some galvanized piping. Just kidding. Don't use this on galvanized piping. Who doesn't like monthly presents that you pay for? To get 20% off your first order, go to bespokepost.com/audioman20. Or at checkout, enter the code audioman20 to get 20% off your first order at bespokepost.com. What's on the back? On the back, pretty straightforward back here. You have one set of RCA outputs, a right and a left, which is good because they don't have the weird TRS connectors. I just have regular RCAs, which means I can actually work with anybody's system. Yeah, all right. Then there's one full-size coaxial input, one full-sized optical input, and one full-sized USB input over there. Now here's the interesting thing. The power. The power is a typical barrel style connector. However, it comes in at 5 volts DC, which means you can use any 5-volt adapter. Think cell phone charger or anything else. Here's the interesting thing though. When one has a 5-volt DAC or a 5-volt streamer or 5-volt Raspberry Pi, it opens up an opportunity to put a battery pack on there. Some people theorize that utilizing batteries is actually a better way to power audio devices because of noise issues that can be associated with plugging this thing into your wall or your mains, as our friends over in Europe say. In any regard, being able to run the Topping E30 Mark II with a 5-volt power brick that you could incidentally put on a smart switch and then turn it off during the day and then recharge it at night and never have to really unplug it at all. It's a kind of an interesting concept. I have talked about it multiple times, but I've never actually tried it to see if there's any type of performance increase. However, I do have some type of switch mode power supply from iFi that's $50 or something. And I did hear a bit of a difference when I switched that out from a typical 5-volt cell phone charger type of a thing. Just the fact that it's 5 volts, it might be worth playing with just to see how much performance you could eke out of it with a battery supply. So how's it work? This comes with a standard Topping remote. You can change the volume up and down. You can change the roll off. The thing about the Topping E30 that's very important to remember is not to lose the remote control, because you may notice on the front of here, there's no knob. I wish I had a knob. Then, if you lose the remote control, you can just do this. But there's no knob on here. And there's no real depressible buttons. What you have is a touch button, which doesn't always work, although it does seem to be working right now. So long press turns it off, and then boop. Okay. So it's not that bad. It does work. However, no volume knob. I think that's a huge problem. This thing is marketed as a desktop DAC. Even though you're going to have a desktop headphone amplifier right there that will have volume, I still think Topping, once again, has missed an opportunity to put a physical volume knob on here just in case someone either loses the remote control or simply wants to control volume quickly. Let's say you want to bring your vintage receiver into digital wonderment. It would be nice to have a physical volume. Or at least 2 buttons that you could go, even if it's 2 touch buttons, that you could go up and down with the volume. This was a major complaint I had about the first Topping E30, and it seems like they doubled down on it. The only real difference here between the first generation is now they have 2 AKM chips. 4493s. Actually, it's the 4493Ss. And if you watch my SMSL D6 video, you know that the S on the 4493S stands for sibilant. Does this one sound any different? We're going to find out. I listened to this through the Sony SSCS5s hooked up to the Emotiva A1 monoblocks, going through the Akatika PT102. Excuse me, PR102. I always get them mixed up. Which is a preamp that I built. I didn't build it, I put it together. I followed some directions. And I still didn't get it completely 100% right. But it's a really cool preamp kit if you're ever interested. And then this thing was hooked up to my computer. Also, I had this hooked up to the Jashelli Labs Arcle 2.5, running into some HiFemin Edition XS, and also the Sennheiser /Drop 6XX. So let's just get down to it. It sounds exactly like the SMSL D6. Same sibilance issues, except not only do you have all the sonic issues associated with that DAC, but now you have all the frustrations with not being able to fundamentally control anything on the front of this, except for input switching. That's it, input switching. It does come with 6 different types of roll-off. Pretty standard. You can change the brightness on it up and down. There's not a whole lot of difference here between the first generation. To be fair, I don't have the first E30 around here, but If this is any indication of how the new crop of affordable AKM DACs are going to be, there has been no improvement sonically over the previous generation. Could there be on measurements? I don't know. I haven't looked. But when I listen to them, they sound, from memory, to be similar. And when I compared this directly to the SMSL D6, zero chance I'm winning any type of blind listening test on those. It was so similar that it sounded like the same product, which fundamentally it is the same product. Who is this product for? I think if you don't lose the remote, this could be a product for you. If you have a warmer headphone, it didn't sound bad on the 6XX. With more revealing gear, the HiFiMan Edition XS wasn't a good combo with it. Very sibilant, very harsh percussion cymbals, which are part of percussion. High-end stuff seemed very out of place. If you're listening to this and you've never listened to a decent outboard DAC, it's going to be very impressive for a little while. After that, it's going to grate on you. The problem is there's not a lot of alternatives in this price range. The DA6 from SMSL uses a Sabre chipset. I think it's more palatable than the AKM chipset here. I still can't recommend any of these affordable AKM DACs. They're too harsh. If that is something that you really like, and you have, let's say, a Cambridge AXA 25 or 35, and some ELAC BS41s, or the 6XX, something like that, I could see it somewhat balancing itself out. But if you have a revealing system, a revealing preamp, revealing amp, revealing speakers, like the Sony SSCS5s, any of the Emotiva stuff, this E30 Mark II is going to be way too much. I think they missed a huge opportunity to just put some controls on the front. Would it change this review? Not really, because the D6 does have controls on the front, and I don't really like that. I think alternatives in this price range would be the Skit Modi, the Sabre version. I haven't heard the new AKM version, but from memory, the old AKM version was better than the D6 or the E30 Mark II. I did just get in the Gishelli Labs J2, their AKM version. So I'm very interested to hear if there's any difference between Gishelli Labs implementation on the J2 and the implementation on the D6 and the E30 Mark II. I hope there is. I really do. I can't really recommend this product. The problem is there's not a lot of products in this price range that I can recommend. I would recommend the DA6. I don't know if there's a Sabre version for anything from topping in this price range. I can recommend the topping E50, which I think sounds really good. It has some of the same frustrating non-controls on the front too, but it sounds way better than this thing. But I think it's about $100 more expensive. So if you want to support the channel, you can sign up for Patreon, patreon.com/cheapaudioman. We have patron-only Zooms, patron-only Facebook group, Discord server. You can use these links in the description. Those are affiliate links, which means if you click and you buy, I do get a commission, but it doesn't cost you any more. If you want to check out my DAC tier list video, I'll put it right here. That was from a while ago. I need to do another one of those. So don't binge watch anything on Netflix or Hulu. Binge listen, maybe through your topping E30 if you love that type of revealing sound on the top, and fill your soul with happiness. And with that, I'm Randy. I'm the Cheap Audio Man.